All right, let's get started. All right, first tip. Generally, I mean, you're looking into coaching. It'll give you a big head start over people just playing the game. But most of the tips and tricks I can give you for all of the heroes and general game sense would eventually also come if you play the game more. So keep that in mind. Just keep on playing and
Okay.
you'll improve eventually. There will be a limit, and you can, of course, work with coaches or dedicated practice to higher that limit. But
Hmm.
generally, you'll climb if you play more.
All right.
Um, yeah. All right. Let's get started looking into the things.
Do it.
Can you tell me a little bit about the team comp you have? Is that, in your eyes, is that good or is that mediocre? Is
Um,
that bad?
Honestly, I try to have two tanks and two healers, which we do, and we have a sniper and a DPS. So I'd say that's a rather decent comp.
Yeah, it's a pretty good comp.
Uh,
hmm Let's
yeah.
go into subcategories. Overwatch contains the general things that you've already. Wait, can I? Is that big enough? No, that's pretty small. Let me check if I can just. You have the DPS
Hmm.
with two subcategories that I'm going to write into. You have the heals. You have the tanks. It is not very centered, but I'll I'll just
That's
stick
all
to
right.
it. All right. DPS has two subcategories. We have hit scan and we have projectile.
Okay.
Then we can go into what these are.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Tanks again, main and off tank. All right. Let's get into some of the basics here. A hit scan projectile. What could you imagine? What do you imagine could that be?
I would a hit
In
scan. I would assume would be like a laser of some sort,
Yeah, correct.
and a projectile. I would assume would be like McCree's bullets, or in this sense, it would be Farah's rockets.
Exactly. McCree isn't is in the hit scan category, but however, Farah is definitely a member of the projectile.
Okay.
So, what does that mean? Projectile, for example, Genji, he throws shurikens and they fly in the air.
Okay.
Farah shoots rockets. There's generally these are all of the heroes whose bullets travel. All right, next category. Hit scan. For example, Widow is one of the hit scan heroes. Hit scan, Soldier, McCree, Widowmaker. They have no travel time, so in the very second that they click on them onto the mouse and the message is delivered to the server, they will shoot. So there's no travel time of the
Okay.
things that they shoot. So if um, one of the major differences in between hit scan and projectile is what are they strong against. For example, a projectile has hard to hit ways to like damaging with a projectile is generally a little bit more hard. So smaller heroes as Tracer or say it's another good example. Perhaps Brigitte. They have small hitboxes. They're small heroes. They're pretty compact. So hitting them with a flying projectile while they're also moving is kind of hard. So a hit scan would do the job better onto them because
Okay.
um, so you will learn about that eventually. So just a heads up. Generally, you would like to have a hit scan and a projectile hero in most scenarios, unless you have easy to hit targets, then you would prefer a projectile because they can deal more damage. Say a Roadhog, a Reinhardt. They're very easy to hit targets.
Okay.
Or if you have very hard to hit targets, say a Tracer or perhaps a Pharah, you can't really hit a Pharah with a projectile. She flies around way too much. So you would prefer a hit scan against that. So keep that in mind. Hard to hit heroes mean hit scan, and easy to hit heroes mean projectile as a counter.
Got it.
Perfect. Next category. Main heal, off heal. Any idea what that could mean?
Main heal, I would assume, would be a character that focuses on healing and purely healing, like Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And off heal, I would assume, would be someone like Brigitte, who has a heal ability, but she also does some other things like damage and defense.
Well said. Mm-hmm. That's right. Which of the heroes on your team would you assume is a main heal?
Main heal, I'd say Moira. Yeah.
Moira. Moira is a main healer. She can heal a lot. She also has damage orbs, but her general task is healing, especially when it comes to stronger Moira players. They will focus on healing most of the time. Now, Zenyatta, on the other hand, is an off healer. While he has his orbs in store, he will be focused on shooting the enemy for a major duration of the game. So again, it's a mix of things that is in most cases the right way to go. Wait, that's a bit off.
Ooh.
That's yeah. We can remember what that was, right?
Yes.
All right, good. Main heal. If you have targets that take a lot of that have big health pools, like tanks, you definitely want a main heal. And maybe in some scenarios where you would run 3 or 4 tanks even, you would want 2 main heals because you need a lot of healing.
Okay.
With heroes that are very quick and with smaller health pools, you might prefer at least 1 off healer, if not 2 off healers. So say you have a Tracer, a Widowmaker, and then just 1 tank, then maybe going 2 off healers would favor you, because you can do more damage and you don't need as much healing as you would get from a main heal.
Okay.
Alright, last category of them all is tanks. Main tank, off tank. Your task again. What do they do?
Okay, again, Brigitte would be an off tank because she's not only a tank, she does some DPS and some healing.
Mm-hmm.
And a main tank would be like Reinhardt. He just spends most of his time holding up his shield, or should spend most of his time holding up his shield, but still has some offensive.
Yeah. Exactly. Well said again. Let's look at some different colors so it's not confusing. So, what do you say? Who is the main tank in your comp and who is the off tank?
Reinhardt's main tank.
Yeah.
And the off tank would be Diva.
Mm-hmm.
Or is there? Yeah, because she focuses on more of getting up in someone's face and 1v1ing and flanking.
Yeah. Off heal. You might off tank. Sorry. You might sometimes find that you wouldn't have 2 tanks, or you would just have an off tank. You would have just a main tank. So you can pick accordingly. And to get you to know what to pick in which scenario, I'm just gonna add a bunch of stickers here on different categories so we can put them in here. That's one. Oh geez, that's a lot of heroes. Let's just go through them, alright? That's just too much for me
Alright.
to organize all of them. Wait, let me pull up Overwatch all heroes so we don't forget any. All right. Do they have an alphabetical order? They do not. All right, then let's start off. What would you say is? I'd like to put it in here though, so you can perhaps look at it again. I might actually do all of the stickers, which is kind of a lot of work, but I'll do it anyway. 1, 2. Unfortunately, they're missing some heroes on this side,
All right.
but we'll work with it anyway, since I don't know a better solution to the problem right now. Where am I? Lucio, Kree. Wait, do you know all of the names to the different heroes?
Not every name, but I
Alright.
could probably name a lot of them.
Alright. I mean, there should be most of them in this list, but I'll go over the ones that we miss. Hawk, Soldier. Sorry if this is taking a moment, but I don't
okay.
see a way of doing it a little bit doing it faster.
I've got a lot of patience.
Alright, that's all of them, all of the stickers that I can find. Alright, let's go through. Top left, who's that?
And
Anna, right. What is she?
Anna.
Kind of.
She would be an off healer. Yeah, off healer. She
Main healer.
main healer? Okay.
Definitely healer, but she's rather focused on healing you with her grenade. I mean, you can play it a lot more offensively, but you're expected to heal a lot, so main heal.
Okay, main heal. Got it.
Bastion.
Bastion, he'd be hit scan.
Definitely.
DPS, yeah.
It's quite overlooked, but actually all of his fire, not only in turret form, immediately hits. So yeah, in his ultimate he has a projectile, but he'll spend most of his time in turret form, so he's considered a hit scan DPS. Next up, Diva.
Right. Diva, she is offhand tank.
Yeah. You can just go down the list.
Okay. Genji is projectile, and Hanzo is projectile. Junkrat projectile.
Yep.
Lucio off. I think he's main heal. Yeah.
In high level, he's considered a main heal, but usually until you hit Grandmaster, he'll be considered an off healer.
Okay.
But I mean, the difference between main heal and off heal is not as great. Balusi, why he's considered both. McCree?
McCree, hit scan. May, I think that'd be considered a projectile.
Yeah, her right click is a projectile.
Yeah. And Mercy, she's main heal. I can't remember her name, the robot
Orisa?
lady. Orisa, she is a main tank. Farah is projectile.
Next on the list, the guy with the weird mask is?
I'm not sure.
Reaper.
Reaper is hit scan.
Yep.
And then Reinhard is main tank. Roadhog, main tank.
Actually, off tank. He would
off tank?
not. I mean, Orisa has the big barrier. Generally, everything that has barriers is considered rather towards the main tank. Hog only has his big health pool, and he's looking to kill you with his hook. He can self-sustain, so he falls into the off tank.
Soldier, hit scan. And I'm not sure who Sombra is, but she is.
kind of hard, as well as with some other heroes. You could consider it hit scan, but there's a subcategory that doesn't. It's called utility. It's a fourth
Utility.
category that is neither DPS, heals, nor tank.
Okay.
Called utility. I can go into that later. Let me just
I
put
think
that down.
Sombra, not Sombra, Symmetra, isn't she also in that category,
Yeah,
or is
she's
she?
also considered utility.
All right. And
Torbjorn?
Torb is tank, right? No, he's a DPS. What am I saying? Tank. He is I'd say hit scan.
He's definitely not
Well,
hit scan. His projectiles fly, but he's also rather considered utility
no,
over
I was thinking.
DPS. But his projectiles fly.
Okay.
The reason
And
he's in
then
utility is because of his armor. So generally, most things that give armor or shields, as Symmetra, or the med pack from Somba, which is why they're utility. You
all
see?
right.
Like they provide something else to the team over than just the basic damage or healing or having a shield or a larger health
Okay.
pool.
And
Right. Tracer?
Tracer, she's hit scan.
Mm-hmm.
Widow hit scan. What's that? I can't see.
Winston.
Winston, I'd say hit scan.
Wait,
And then, huh?
Winston? On hit scan?
No, no, no. His weapon is he's a tank. He's a main
Yeah,
tank.
alright,
What am
alright.
I saying?
Yeah, that was a bit confusing. I mean, his
I'm
weapon
like, yeah.
is hit scan, but yeah, he is
You'll
a tank.
find out that I'm like the absent-minded professor. So
Alright.
okay, and then I can't ever remember this lady's name.
Zaya?
Zaya.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she is off tank
Yep.
with a hit scan. Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
mean
hit
the
scan.
weapon doesn't really matter as long as they're not DPS.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, and last but not least, on the stickers at least,
Who is that?
Zenyatta. He's also hit
Zenyatta.
scan.
Zenyatta is an off heal. Yeah, an off heal.
Yeah, it's an off heal. He shoots for 80% of the time, then he heals, and sometimes he has his transcendence. So yeah, he's healing, but mostly he's shooting. All right.
Okay.
Some of the heroes that are missed, Doomfist.
Doomfist would be hits projectile. No, hit scan because he actually punches them.
I mean, yeah, hit scan is alright, but the idea between hit scan from hit scan is that hit scan usually can reach single targets or get a headshot from a longer range, and because he isn't that and neither projectile, he's either considered just DPS as a whole or utility.
Okay.
Because he doesn't fall, like anything that doesn't fall concisely into the categories is rather utility than anything else.
All right.
Alright, what did they miss also? Brigitte and Moira. Brigitte's
an off tank.
Yeah.
And Moira.
Moira.
She's an off heal. No, main heal. You told me this earlier.
Main heal, exactly.
Yeah,
Alright,
main heal.
you're paying attention. I like it. Yeah, that is all of the heroes that are currently in Overwatch, and I'd like you to summarize to me which features makes these four categories in the top right side here. Whoops.
All right.
Which
Starting
characterizes them on whichever order.
Starting with the main, DPS is the main damage dealer. Their job will be dealing damage. Hit scan would be those who shoot and it hits instantly, no travel time. And projectile is those like Junkrat who shoots an object towards them that explodes.
All right. Just a step back.
Not explodes,
what are the things that hit scans are good against?
Hit scans are good against the smaller, harder to hit targets, and projectile is good against the bigger targets that are tankier.
All right. Good.
And moving on to heals. Healing, that's just the whoever specializes in healing.
Yeah.
And or well, there's still often main healer, people who spend almost all the time healing. Off heal, those who spend a larger percentage of the time doing damage but still heal. And then main heal is good for those who have a larger health pool, like a tank, and off heal is good for those who have a smaller health pool, like Genji.
Mm-hmm. Like,
Tanks. Tanks absorb most of the damage, put out shields, and defend the team. Main the main tanks, they spend all their time taking damage and dealing a little bit of damage, or maybe a lot. Off tanks, they spend their time doing other things just besides tanking damage, but they still are tanky enough to be in the tank class.
mm-hmm.
You would want a larger, you would want a main tank for a high damage output enemy, and an off tank for medium to, well, yeah, medium to tanky enemies.
All right, great. Mm-hmm. Utility is kind of hard to explain, and I didn't, so I'd go over that now. Utility, as I mentioned, Torbjorn is considered utility because he has the turret, which is part of his kit, but also the armor, which adds onto it. The extra HP can make a big difference, and his molten core is very good, transforming him into a tank. So he doesn't fit into any of the categories as well. Same goes for Doomfist, because he throws himself onto people like a projectile, but
Yeah.
his weapon is also hit scan, and he can fly around, and it's he goes bonkers. So yeah, also rather utility. And Sombra has her hack, which ups her from just being a DPS onto also having the EMP, being able to do a lot of indirect damage to the team. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Great. All right, let's go through an example. If the enemy team have no, your team is already established, 5 heroes, and you're back in spawn and you want to switch. They have no tank, 4 DPS, and 2 healers. Which category, or which heroes could you pick? That makes sense in this scenario.
Okay.
Kind of a tough question, I know.
Reinhardt, I could pick him. I could pick what was the robot lady's name again? Oh, Orisa. I could pick Orisa.
No, I think you mistook me. I might have also explained it poorly. So I'm saying your team is already with everything that you need. Let's just imagine what is a good pick against X or Y. Say somebody's asking on. Let's start over with another scenario. Someone on your team is asking to switch because his pick isn't working, because the enemy has 4 DPS and 2 heals. Your team, however, already has a main tank, off tank, everything that you would want. Just imaginary. What is strong against 4 DPS and 2 heals?
Against that would be hit scan DPS.
Hit scan?
Mm-hmm.
In the tank category?
Scan DPS. In the tank category? So that would have to be an offhand, wouldn't it?
Off tank, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Off tank.
Yeah. Why would that be?
Because they don't need to spend their whole time tanking damage, because they need to deal more damage while being able to take some damage. And all the enemy team is squishy, dealing high damage, so you don't need to deal massive amounts, just enough to knock them down.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And really so...
Okay. Another scenario. The enemy team is running 3 tanks and 2 heals, maybe 1 damage. So a lot of tanks, and you have to suggest a pick.
I would say do projectile
Mm-hmm.
do projectile damage under DPS because of the larger hitboxes and the massive amounts of damage that
Mm-hmm. In the heals
projectiles do.
category on
In
your team?
the heals, in the heals category, it would be an off heal because they're not going to be healing the whole time. They'll be dealing more damage than healing. So like a Zenyatta.
Mm-hmm.
Zenyatta would be pretty
That's
good in
really
that
good.
situation.
That's really good. I like it. That's a lot of progress. All right. I think that's all from my side right now. So you already get the basic of how team compositions could work,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that will already give you quite the edge of a lot of teams. So let's go into a little bit of how team compositions work well together, because there's different heroes that synergize with another more than others.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into things. I think I can delete all of what's on screen and we can get started with other things. Yeah, I'll just delete it. Clean screen again. You're playing Pharah. Pharah synergizes very well with one of the healers. Who could you imagine would that be?
Mercy, because Mercy can fly up to you
Mm-hmm.
and get you healed up pretty well, I'd assume.
Yeah, also the damage boost allows you to do 150
Sure.
HP with one shot if it's a direct impact, so a Tracer would be killed
Okay.
in a single hit if you manage to land it. So if you run a Tracer, for example, and she's being killed a lot by that Pharah, suggest a different pick because it is strong.
Okay.
And rather suggest her to go on to which kind of hero?
I would rather have her go on to a smaller. Well, no, she's still small.
What is good against dealing far away
Against
targets that are hard to hit?
far hit scan.
Hit scan, exactly.
A
What
hit
are some hit
scan.
scan heroes?
Well, Tracer's already a hit scan hero, but she doesn't have range. So I'd say a McCree.
Mm-hmm.
McCree counters Pharah really well. I learned that.
Yeah.
Widowmaker.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, that's really good.
And
Yeah. All right. So Pharah Mercy works very well together. What other heals could work well together? No, let's actually go into tanks. What do you, one of the heroes synergizes very well with Reinhardt. That is Zarya. For the reason that Reinhardt would oftenly drop his shield and take a lot of damage, generally speaking.
Mhm.
And that is also with his body. And because Zarya can bubble someone's body and gain energy if he's being shot, she will be able to generate a lot of energy. Also, her Graviton Surge, or Grav for short, allows him to swing into multiple enemies at once. So,
I see.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very he can hit into it very freely. So, having a Zarya with a Reinhardt is usually a good idea.
Okay.
Diva, what do you say makes this hero interesting in her kit, or do you know how Diva works?
Diva will charge at the enemy. She can charge at the enemy, flank and one-on-one almost. That she used to be able to one-on-one almost anyone. Now, if she's pretty smart about it, she probably still could.
Mm-hmm. So she can punish enemies that are not with the team, especially when they're on a low health pool or
True,
smaller health pool.
her rockets do a huge amount of damage. She can block any bits of damage using her frontal shields for only a slight amount of time. And she can fly around, so great mobility as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. What main tank does also have great mobility?
A main tank that has great mobility? Winston.
Winston, exactly. And that is, I'm not sure if you've heard, it's called Dive.
Diving, yeah.
Dive.
Jumping behind enemies, outlines, and hitting them.
Not necessarily behind them, but yeah, on the back line. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So trying to have both the main and off tank jumping onto the low HP pool heroes, say Mercy and Zenyatta, and eliminating the healers, or perhaps even a Genji, who also has very little HP.
Okay.
So that is called dive. DPS wise, which DPS can also jump very quickly in a short amount of short amount of time?
Tracer.
Tracer.
And would there be anybody else? I can't think of anyone besides Tracer right now.
For example, Doomfist or Genji.
Genji.
Genji can
Genji.
dash through them on like I think 8-second cooldown, and once he's in the backline, he's a high threat to all of the supports.
Okay. He also, when he kills someone with a dash, he gets another dash.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes him a high threat. So if a team is asking for a dive composition, which heroes could that possibly include?
D.Va, D.Va, Tracer. You'd still need a healer, so okay.
Which healer can possibly?
Lucio.
Yeah.
Lucio.
Which main healer?
Main healer?
I mean, Lucio's already a correct answer, definitely. But which main healer can follow up easily on flying targets?
Mercy.
Mercy. 100 points. I like it.
And did I list everyone that could be in the party, or is there another person?
Well, Moira is possible, but do you know Numbani on A?
No.
Have you played Numbani?
Yeah. I have. I just can't remember names to
so
things.
Let me do a poor drawing. You're coming down from streets, and then you can either go around and up the stairs here.
Okay.
Into the room, or you can go down the main street, and there's another balcony up here.
Is that where you
onto point A?
Okay. Are you crossing a bridge at the first point?
Or
is that a different place?
Yeah, there's some street signs above. There are bridges around. Wait, let me check.
Oh, I know what it is. I see it. Yeah.
That.
Yep. That one. There we go.
Yeah. So, for example, if the enemy were to set up on the top right here, or on this so-called high ground. Why is it called high ground?
Because it's above them.
Yeah.
And it's easier to get headshots on high ground, so
yeah,
you always want to, if you're a hit scan. And projectile would be best to have high ground too.
Yeah, generally high ground is very, very powerful if you can get it for free. And just, try and hold it if you can. So, for example, if you were the attacking team coming down from the streets here, and the enemy team were set up at the right, at the red cross, then you could potentially try and jump onto them with D.Va or Monkey or Winston.
Yeah.
So Moira has a hard time following up on that, and so does Anna, because she can't really hit. So Mercy is your go-to main here when it comes to dive.
Alright.
Because she can easily follow them. Alright, enough of this. Okay. How do I remove that again? This. Alright. So yeah, now you have the dive com cleared up. I think that's enough theory for today, and we can go into some gameplay.
Okay.
Any questions from your side?
Not currently.
Alright, good.
What's up, everybody?
Let me skip the intro here.
That was me for a while.
Alright, give me a quick explanation on Pharah's kit. How does it work?
Alright, so Pharah has a jetpack. When pressing space or right click, she goes up a little bit, and her shift is a launch directly up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it does damage if anyone's in front of you or not.
I don't think so.
But you can use that when your fuel is empty. Your fuel will start going up, and by the time you fall back to cruising altitude, you can just tap space or right click to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
When you are near someone, you can press E to blast them away from you.
Mm-hmm.
You can shoot your projectiles, which are bombs that will explode on impact,
Mm-hmm.
dealing a lot of damage. Not sure exactly how much.
125.
125 damage, okay. And you're weak on the ground.
Yeah.
Very squishy.
Mm-hmm.
So you always want to stay airborne or on top of a building and always moving.
Well said. Mm, two things that you've missed with your E. You can also launch people, for example, from quite far a distance.
Okay.
So you don't have to be near them. You can shoot it from anywhere as long as it hits. And also, your primary fire with your rockets also does area of effect damage, so splash damage. If you
Okay.
hit near them, you'll still deal a bit of damage. Not quite the full 125, but still.
I didn't talk about the rocket barrage
Yeah, what
also.
does that do?
So you shoot a bunch of rockets, I think from your back, and it does a huge amount of damage to anyone who gets hit by it. It shoots so many so quickly, although it can be interrupted. If Diva flies at you, you can't cancel it, so you kill yourself and probably Diva's mech, but not Diva herself.
Mm-hmm.
And
What does that also do to your movement?
it halts all your movement.
Yeah.
You freeze midair, and yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, I like it. So you have a good understanding of a kit already. That's good to know. Let's move into some gameplay then.
But then I had like 6 to 7 loot boxes still, so I got a bunch of them.
Just this bit. What does the coach say?
The what?
Just from these 5 seconds. What you imagine? What does the coach say? Yeah.
The courage?
The
But then I had, like,
coach.
6 to 7 loot
Coach.
boxes still, so I got a
Don't
Nice.
go on low ground.
Possibly. Mm-hmm.
Stay behind your tanks.
Yeah. Let me give you the conclusion immediately before we get into things. If you use
But then I had
your left shift right now, you'd be able to fly very high, perhaps even at the top of the skybox. And
Okay.
you're generally able to maintain altitude and gain altitude infinitely with the amount of fuel that you're given and the cooldown on your left shift. So if done correctly, you will never hit the floor again after you left. Theoretically. This will usually
Okay.
not be possible, but it's something to strive for.
I do that quite a bit in the game. You might see later.
Yeah, I already looked at some of it. Second thing, not only are you able to maintain your altitude, but if you are able to peek above this building, you will be able to see the enemies just walking on the counterpart just out of their spawn, and you're pretty free shooting them on their way. And they have not
Okay.
much to contest apart from maybe a Diva Matrix. So if they don't, that's free ult charge for you.
Okay.
So look on most maps, you're able to see the enemies, especially King of the Hill maps, so control maps. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to secure a point and keep the point.
Exactly, on 3 different maps. Mm-hmm. Or,
Okay.
I mean, like, yeah, I think you get my point. So yeah, most sidelines are very free on the King of the Hill maps, so you'll be able to spot enemies very early and perhaps even shoot them from spawn.
had like 6 to 7 loot boxes still, so I got a bunch of them.
Nice. I wish I could get skins more often, to be honest.
That's already pretty good. You see you gain a lot of altitude, and you're already able to make out the enemy's position over here. So you can generally shoot in the broad direction of this area because they're most likely to approach you by walking onto the spot. If you can't make out any enemies, because their general path will be from main and then either the right side or the left hand side. But either way, you'll be able to spot them if you're at an altitude like this.
Okay.
Another mechanic on Pharah. Have you played Quake?
And I'm not. No.
Alright. Team Fortress, perhaps? There's a mechanic called rocket jump.
Okay.
Can you imagine what that does?
Shoots you up really high using a rocket.
Yeah. You gain quite a bit of altitude by shooting at your feet because the explosion knocks you up in there. You do take damage. So doing that early in the fight and perhaps not mid-fight when you're about to die. Yeah, that can give you a bit more altitude. So doing that is pretty free, especially if you have a main or an off heal at your side.
Okay.
So ask for an orb, shoot yourself on the foot, and gain a little bit of extra altitude.
Okay.
I wish I could get skins more often, to be honest.
So, what have we seen already? What do you know about that composition?
Their composition, they have a tank, I think we've seen 2 or 3 squishy DPS dealers, or 2 DPS and 1 main heal.
Mm-hmm. On the DPS
the
side of things?
On the DPS side of...
Are there threats to you? Are there hit scan heroes? And if
McCree.
so, how many?
There's McCree, and that's all I can see from the footage, and I don't remember who else there was.
Well, let me check. Is that a soldier? Is that a Kree? I think that's a soldier.
Yeah, that's a soldier, and a McCree.
No, it's a Hanzo, I think. From this.
Hanzo? Really?
Yeah, I think so. On the right hand side. Sorry to pause so much, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Hanzo. That's a bull. Yeah, that's a Hanzo. Alright, what does that mean for you? They're playing Hanzo and the soldier. How does that
they can
influence your playstyle?
They can hit me and do a lot of damage. Soldier will do a lot of body shots, and if he ults, I need to stay hidden. And Hanzo can headshot me and one-hit me. I think he does 200
but
damage.
It will be very hard hitting a Pharaoh if you keep moving. Yeah. What else can you see about them right now? You're only able to see two heroes out of 6. If they don't have any AFKs or a multitude of them, you're safe to assume that they will either be on the right hand side, which you can't see, or they will be on the left hand side and possibly already very close, which is actually what happens. So as Pharah, part of your job is not only to shoot the enemy, but since you have a broad overview of the field, you can help your team quite greatly by calling out the enemy positioning, where they're going, and perhaps even the heroes at the start of the match.
Okay.
Pressing. Do you know what you can see when you press tab during mid game?
You can see all the enemy heroes, and you can see all your allies' ults, all your ally heroes, and that's about it.
What specialty is there at the beginning of a round?
You cannot see the enemy's heroes.
Exactly. So for the next, say, 15 or 20 seconds, they will be left in the dark about the heroes. So if you call that out, that's already an advantage to your team. And you calling out that you only see 2 heroes, that they might be flanking. Don't say if it's left or right if you don't know. Say that they might be flanking. Already puts you in a great spot. So realizing that would have probably saved your life. You can actually see them moving on the left hand side here at the edge of the screen. Did you see that?
I did not.
Pay close attention to the ridge here.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah.
The Roadhog, yeah.
They're flanking us.
I'm down.
While dropping down against the soldier is alright. You should have the confidence of your 200 HP pool to poke a little more and generally staying at least a little bit above the ground.
Okay.
Not so.
Wow, they flanked the fuck out of us.
Jeez.
Online.
How to get quicker out of spawn with Pharah. Using your E, you can not only knock away your enemies, but also yourself. So if you shoot that either behind you or on your feet while moving forward, the travel time of your projectile will allow you to be a little bit up front, kicking you much closer to the fray again.
Okay.
I'm waiting for Ryan.
This again, I mean, I'm repeating myself in a way, but since Overwatch does not have a mana pool or something along those lines, you can use your abilities whenever you see fit or a good chance to be used. There's no punishment for using them apart from a, say, 8-second or even lower cooldown. So using shift here to scout or perhaps look for some damage is not bad, since you'll have it back before the fight starts again.
Okay.
So don't be reluctant to use your basic abilities.
I'm waiting for Reinhardt and Moira, so...
Sorry, I'm pausing so much. It's just that I want to give you all of the feedback that you can get.
Alright.
So...
Your fuel, all of it is already drained. Completely, just within a second. Again, try looking to use your shift more, and then maintain yourself in the air with the
What
fuel.
I was planning on doing is using most of my fuel, then using shift to get up, and while I was going up from shift, my fuel would go back up, I was hoping.
Understandable, but try not to use all your fuel, because you might need it to gain a lot more altitude immediately, in case something happens. So I would suggest you using at either half fuel or 2/3 instead of all the way draining it.
Okay.
Can you let's practice a little bit, alright? Can you give me your battle tag?
My battle tag?